Hey, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. And today we are back in F1 24, the new release. It's finally here, and now you are getting treated with a banger. Trust me, this is gonna elevate your driving experience to the next level, because we are talking about setup. I will explain to you what this year's setup actually do from what I could feel so far, and what kind of values I think will work for what I've been testing so far. Okay, so it's not 100% optimized, it's not an esports setup yet, but I think this is truly how it's gonna look like and what you can do with the setup to your liking. So first of all, we have a couple of new things on this year's game. The aerodynamic part is still the same, but the aero got an overhaul. It is not as sensitive anymore, and that's a bit strange. I feel like now wings don't matter too much. You can pretty much run even wings as long as the balance is right. Like, let's say you need 30, something between 30 and 40 on Bahrain, or 30 and 20, and you run 30-30. As long as you balance it out with the right height, it will be fine. But for now, on the wings, I would still tend to run a bit more front than rear. I do not think the massive wing gaps will be the meta like previous years. In previous years, 10 to 12 was a good range. I think that could still be the limit, but some people are even saying you could run like 30 wing gaps. I think you can, yes, but it's slow. Like, even if we go now on track with a 50-0, this is on a default setup, it should still be drivable. It's a bit snappy, but on previous year we would have already spun. Now we can at least drive around, okay? Which is, well, you shouldn't be able to do that, okay? Like, even though we can catch this, I mean, we all know the handling's a bit weird. But even you can accelerate here, you just have to adapt your braking and a couple of things. So you can go for massive wing gaps, but I do not think it's the smartest way, because you produce most of your downforce from the suspension page. Please try and make sure to stay within a close range. So for example, on Bahrain, I would maybe have something like 40 to 38, or maybe even 40-40 if you want to, just in a similar range, okay? And the setup should already be good. Let's put to 40-40. Then on the differential, I've seen so far that most people are going for a pretty low diff, and I might be wrong, but I believe the diff is better run higher at like 90. It gives you more traction, and if you get rotation from elsewhere on the setup, this is actually gonna make your exits much better than when you have it on like 40 or 30 or 25. I've even seen people run 10 or 15. So it's more beginner friendly, and also I think it's going to be fast in the end. So still a bit to play around. It's all down to your car's balance. If the car's more loose, then you probably need a little bit more differential on the upper side. If it's quite stable and understeery, you can probably rotate the car on the throttle with like 30-35. But I would actually say a 90% on throttle could work this year. Then on the off diff, it's a bit of a different story. We have the new engine braking, which if you increase it to the right, so to the max, you get more ERS, your car stops faster, but you get more oversteer. With this, you would tend to run a bit higher off diff. If you have a lower engine brake, your car takes longer to slow down, you get less ERS under braking and recovery in general, because your car just doesn't have the engine braking anymore, or to the smallest percentage. But then again, you can run, because you have now the opposite, which is more stable now. So more engine braking, oversteer, less engine braking, understeer. More understeer, you can run the setup a bit more aggressive, so you can get the off-throttle rotation from the off-diff. But I would prefer to have maximum car stoppage while still having a rotating car, and then balancing out the over-rotation with the off-diff, because it kind of acts together. I feel like in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to build a setup with less than 100% engine braking. You get more ERS, car stops faster. That means you can brake later. You can go for better overtakes. That's like, if you put it to 0 engine braking, it's like putting your brake pressure to 80%. Nobody does that. Okay, so do what you want, but I think at the end of the game, we will see esports drivers run some esports drivers drive something similar to the likes of this, maybe, I don't know, 80, 70, 100. Could be very wrong on the on diff, but I think on the off diff, I'm quite sure it could turn out like that. Still very early in the game, I might be wrong, okay, but I'm just giving my ideas here, so in case any esports drivers are looking my videos and watching, try it out and don't say it's shit, because I don't think it's shit. Then on the camber, in previous years we were all running right, left. Now I actually believe, I'm quite sure, the camber is much faster faster if you have it fully to the left, like this here needs to be to the left. And with the front toe and rear toe, a lot of people are running left, 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 so everything to the minimum. But I think actually leaving this on standard is also a good idea. You can fine tune the toe, but if you want to be safe, just go left, 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 and you can still leave it on left, left, mid, mid. With that, you should also have pretty much the fastest possible suspension geometry. I think it's all then in the toe out and toe in, front and rear toe. So you have to just test a bit around there. It's all about fine-tuning and it's track dependent. Can't apply the same setup for every single track. But I would say I'm gonna like this setup here, okay? Let's say this here already, and then change your wing balance depending on the track. This is gonna be a baseline setup that you can run from the start of the game immediately, and you will be decently fast on every single track. You will not be at a peak esports pace. You might be 5/10 off, but you're definitely already over half a second to a second faster than the default setup. So please, please, please use this as a baseline and tweak it around. Feel free to tweak it around. Then suspension page, you can run the suspension very soft, but it's slow. It feels maybe a bit nicer, but you will probably have to run something like 41.1 all year. I think the meta is going to be for the suspension 41.1. It's just the fastest for me so far. You gain top speed by having it like that. Once you lower the suspension, you are losing top speed. So if you increase this even more, you will also gain a little bit more top speed, but not too much. But that's where the right head comes into play, because the right head again affects the suspension, blah blah blah. And the right head got changed again this year. It's now from 10 to 40 and 40 to 100. So you can, even if you run 40, 40 and max on the front, minimum on the rear, you will never have more front right height than rear. It's impossible. It's the maximum equal. But let's now talk about this, because the base is something like 70, 30 and it's super slow. You gain so much lap time already and performance from just changing the right height and nothing else on the setup. So the right height on every single track should be in the range from at least 50 to 60. I think you can probably make below 50 work, yes, but to stay safe so it doesn't bottom out, I would recommend going something like 20, 55, and with that you should be fine on every track. If you still bottom out, increase the front, and if you still bottom out, put it back down and increase the rear a little bit. But with this, trust me, you're already gaining so much pace. Now I've also seen a lot of people saying the rear anti-roll bar should be on minimum and the front. I swear to God, when I'm driving this, I'm just losing lap time all the time. So I actually say it's the opposite. It's not, this is not the fastest, don't get me wrong. This is definitely not the fastest, but a stiffer anti-roll bar is gonna be faster than a softer one. 100%. Already feeling that. I don't know, maybe you will see something like this, or maybe you will see something like this, that the front is stiffer than the rear, or the rear is stiffer than the front. But I would say 41.1, 21.21, 20.55. You're already started with a pretty good suspension. This is gonna be fast. We're going for something stable with the wings, with the off diff, still oversteer from the engine braking, going quite aggressive here, but it's just the baseline, okay? Then I don't know why they put the brake pressures to 97. I haven't really played around with this, but usually it's still slower to lower it, so always put it to 100%. Then with the brake bias, it's all again track dependent. I think with a setup that is a bit more oversteery, which this one will definitely be, even though the wings are quite stable, I think you need to run something like 55, 54 brake bias minimum in most corners. In some corners you might be able to run away with 52 or 53, but you can never run 51 or 52 or 50 unless it's like a very little brake in a high speed corner. But in like proper braking zones, probably more like 54 at the max. So yeah, let's go with 55 here. And then on the brake pressures, on the tire pressures, you actually want to run it a bit higher this year. I think going for something like 26, and then you still have the rear a bit lower, maybe like 26, 0 on the fronts, 23.0 on the rear. I think this can pretty much work on every track, but it depends a lot on every track. I think tire pressures can gain you a lot of lap time. It changes the whole feel of the car. It gains you actually time this year. So I'm not sure how it works yet, but this is already a very solid base. And again, on each track, if you are like, oh Marcel, I don't want to change anything, I don't care, just give me this baseline, this is gonna work for my career mode, or I'm having some fun open lobbies, this is gonna work, trust me. Just increase the wings. Like Monaco, you go 50-50 or 50-58, or I don't know, whatever. Then in Silverstone you could probably run something like, I don't know, 18 or 22. In Spa you're probably more able to run like super low, like 5.5, or I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know the aero balance yet, but you just need to get into the right range of the tires, of the wings, and then it's gonna be fine. This is gonna be fully fine on each track, and maybe you bottom out. You need to adjust the right side, or you can also increase the rear suspension, but I would always keep it like this. It's maximum straight line speed. Anti-roll bar, you can play around with it, but this is the easiest you can have the setup this year. If you don't want to overthink it, if you just want to have a good time playing the game, this will feel better than default setup by far. And you know what? Let's do a lap, okay? I'm gonna put it to 40-40, like I said. We're gonna do one lap with a default setup. Preset, what is good on this track, increase downforce. Yeah, 38-38, similar one. Let's do one lap. We're gonna change the brake bias only like 54. Let's see what we can do. Haven't driven this track in a while. If it's a complete terrible lap, then okay, we are probably gonna do another one, but let's just check. Pretty bad turn one. Okay, we can run the brake bias definitely lower on the setup. Getting pissed off by my microphone. I'm really curious to see the delta against this lap. I mean, it's pretty bad. But how much easier it will be right away to drive the other setup. I can give you immediate feedback. I haven't driven it yet. Still locking up a lot. I think I'm gonna lower the brake bias actually even more. Wow. Even invalid. Nice. Okay. This is a 27.5. Okay, okay. So the world record is a 26.2. Let's see. Time trial test. It's exactly the setup that I showed you guys. I'm not gonna change anything throughout the lap aside from the brake bias. I think a 55 brake bias is gonna do the job. You can already see we are locking up the rears a little bit. We're gonna be slower in the straight line maybe. No, actually faster. Look at this. Because, and now we are losing because we're bottoming out a little bit. That was a slow corner as well. You don't want to rear lock, so 55 might not be the one. Very slow. Oh my god, guys, I don't know what I'm doing. But look how much time we are gaining. Not a lockup, but it was a less bad lockup than previously. Guys, we are already going for world record on the first lap with our own setup. Yep. We have the world record, guys. Already. Yeah. There we go. You're on top of the leaderboard. P1 course with a much better setup. You can see what I mean. And the lap was bad, okay? The setup is not ideal. It's not 100% perfect. But we are easily P1, okay? We are easily P1. So make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell. And I'm looking forward to sharing some more content with you over the next few days. Hope you're having a good one. You're Marcel. Peace.